everybody, and welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy. And as usual, we've got this wonderful panel and we've got two very special guests. So let's get started. Jenny Hawran is here from Like Herding Cats Genealogy. Hello, Jenny.
Hello, happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here. I'm always glad that I'm not the only one these poor guests have to talk to. And then we've got Laura Hedgecock from Treasure Chest of Memories. Hello, Laura.
Hi.
And Penny, if she decides, there
There
she
she
comes.
is. Oh, right
She
on
heard
cue.
us. She heard us. And we've got Melissa Barker, the archive lady. Hello, Melissa.
Hey everybody, glad to be here.
Glad you're here too. And last but not least, because you're way down here on my boxes, is Mary Kircher Roddy. And Mary is from MKR Genealogy and the Genealogical Institute, Genealogy Institute. I say it wrong every time. I didn't write it down this time, and that's my problem.
It's okay.
What
Applied Genealogy Institute. We're all
There you
good.
go. Applied Genealogy Institute. And the link is always, as you guys know, everybody's links are always in the blog post and on the YouTube video as well. But we have got very special guests who are also friends of ours, and they are brave enough to come and talk to us. We've got Tami Mize, who you might know from Conference Keeper, is here. And we've got Elizabeth O'Neill, whom is a certified genealogist, brand new certified genealogist. So proud of you. And you may know her from Heart of the Family. That's the name of her website. And you've probably heard them both speak at conferences and all sorts of things. So they should be very familiar to you. But anyway, they have started a new project, which we were so excited about. And it's a podcast. It's a new genealogy podcast called Branching Out, right? So it is real.
Branching Out Genealogy podcast because
Okay.
there are about 400 podcasts called Branching Out. So
Okay. So
we
make
don't
sure.
want to impinge on somebody's copyright. So
Okay, that sounds good. And we will put the link in both places too so people can find you. Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, we will do this. I'll ask the first question and then I'll let these panelists come at you. We are so, I mean, it's going to be like underneath this light. Just so serious when we ask these questions. How did this come about? I mean, you just don't wake up one day and say, let's do a podcast, or do you?
Well, actually,
Yeah, it's kind of like the Little Rascals where they go, let's put on a show, and then they all make a show. It kind of was like that, but we were just talking about that this morning, how this happened. And it was actually in our hotel room at Roots Tech a couple of years ago. I think it was the year
Okay.
before this one. And we were
Okay.
talking, just sitting on the beds talking. And I think Tammy, one of us looked at the other and said, every time we talk, we sound like a podcast. We should be recording
That's true.
ourselves. And we let, haha, that's funny. And then we kind of went, maybe we should. You want to do that?
Nice.
And it took a while to get things off the ground because I was still finishing my portfolio
Right.
and
Right.
Tammy had some health issues to resolve.
Mhm.
And we finally got our act together and put out our first episode.
So cool. So cool. All right, y'all.
Hmm.
Who wants to ask a
I
question? Because
I'm
I'll
always
just keep talking.
yeah, I mean, I'm always curious about the process. So I know you got, one that you've released, but how is your process of setting up an outline for a show? Who does what? I guess that's what I'm more asking.
Well, I can answer on this one. We work together on everything. So we keep we use Notion to keep our thoughts and our plans and everything like that. And we decide on we have the list of what the episodes are going to be generally about. And then we both bring what we have in that about whatever that topic is to the table, and we talk about it, and then we decide, we kind of do a brief outline of how the podcast is going to go, and then we just go. We start talking.
Are you as bad as we are? It's unscripted, and I don't edit anything out unless it's something really major. I don't ever
So
edit.
there's time that Elizabeth is the pro at the editing on this so far, but there's times when you'll be talking along and completely forget a word and just, and so then we kind of
Yeah.
know that that's going to get cut and we'll start
Yeah.
over again. So
I don't even cut when I can't remember a word. We
I'm,
just keep going. Everybody just accepts it for what it is, I guess. And
Also
they will all
for
correct me.
time, kind of for time too, because
Yeah.
these long, I call them the pregnant pauses, they
Mhm.
take up time, and listeners don't really enjoy
Right.
that. So,
Yeah.
when
We
you're
never
driving
have a pregnant
car,
pause.
yeah. But little known fact, I used to be a violin major in college, and so I'm kind of sensitive to sound. I'm not
Oh,
an auditory learner, so you can talk to me all day and I probably won't be able to tell you what you told me, but
hmm.
sound, like music sound and how things sound, audio really is important to me. So we shopped around and looked at different ways to record, and we finally
Uh-huh.
settled on a product called Riverside FM. And it's a
Okay.
really cool virtual studio where you can log in and record. And we just wrapped up recording our second episode today. And we kind of do it in phases or segments as we're transitioning into other parts. We'll stop and we'll
Mhm.
talk about it, and then we'll continue on.
Mhm.
So I forgot where I was going at this point. Oh, and then when it's done, it automatically transcribes everything for you. So you
Nice.
can
Nice.
see where all the ums are, and you can see the
Yeah.
audio underneath, and you can see, well, there's a big long blank line. I guess we forgot what we were saying right there. And to cut. I can cut all of that out, and it's
Right.
really helpful. You can have the transcript to cut out the ums and the uhs or any repetitive
Mhm.
words. And then you also have the audio tracks where you can see where there needs to be cuts.
Wow.
So,
and
Good.
it's kind of funny too, because when we're talking about, what we're going to talk about before we turn the microphones on, and we'll be talking, and then we'll just get into this conversation going, oh, dang, we should have had the microphones on. We should
you
have had
did
the
that this
recording
morning. You
going.
were telling me this story that we were going to use in the podcast, and I was like, stop talking.
No.
Wait until I hit record. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So what kind of topics are you going to be handling?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Um, I
More
think
like,
I've
I mean, more hard research or genealogy the industry products. I know both of you are very techy,
yeah.
so I just wondered if that's going to be a focus or.
There is, we both have different backgrounds, and we both come at it from a different angle. Elizabeth, just having finished her CG, has a very serious professional spin to her genealogy research, and so she'll be able to bring in ideas when we start talking more about research and about how we do different things differently.
Mhm.
And then I just love finding new tech tools to make my life easier and do that sort of thing. So we're looking forward to being able to share things like that. And the goal being that listeners will be able to come away with at least something from each podcast that they can, when they're going back to doing their own research, they can say, oh yeah, they talked about this, or this
Mhm.
was an idea that we heard. So I think that's ultimately our goal, isn't it, Elizabeth?
we also cover current events, like what's happening right now in the genealogy community, and I wanted to put in a little gossip. So we have the tea time.
I love it. I love it.
So, if you hear any gossip, I would love to know about it. So
Sure.
it seems like I
Well,
always,
you
I
snitched.
always seem to spill the tea, and then Tami comes and cleans up after me with something nice and pleasant.
That's funny because a few years ago you were thinking about doing like a coffee theme thing, and now you've gone to tea. Maybe that's because you like spilling it.
It evolved out of the whole spilling the tea idea.
Right. The vernacular
So
of the day is, yeah,
yes, it's spill the tea. Yeah. So
exactly.
Oh,
Do
fun.
you have any gossip you could share with us? You're like, you gotta listen to the
in
podcast.
our first episode, I mean, you guys probably saw what went down on social media with after the presidential election. and I wanted to talk about it, and we kind of discussed it, and we decided, we don't really want to talk about it too much because
Mhm.
we didn't like it. We
Yeah.
didn't like the canceling of the genealogists and the meanness and the things that were being said. And so we recorded this whole segment where we talked about it. And then as I
Mhm.
was listening to it while I was editing it, I thought, you know what? We said we weren't going to talk about it, and then we talked about it. So we need to cut this way back. So we dialed it back, and we just wanted people to know that we don't care what your political affiliations are. We're all genealogists. We're all coming into this place, and we need to play nice. And, Tami says, well, you have to tell them that you're going to judge them if they don't cite their sources.
That's right.
Okay.
Well,
I
that's
might,
legit. That's legit. Yeah, that's legit.
but seriously, it was really a horrible thing to watch happen. And I had just lost my dog like 2 days
Oh, yeah.
before the day before the
Yeah.
election. I lost my dog. So I was in this bad place mentally. And I'm watching people beating up on each other on social media. And it just really, I thought, was really sad and didn't have to happen. So
Yeah.
So when
we,
you say gossip, is it going to be like, I hear this company's coming out with a big sale? I mean, that's my interesting gossip is there's going to be a big sale.
talk about sales, but no.
Uh,
I mean, it's not like Pine Valley of genealogy, but
But it is if we do,
Which in
if
and
we,
of itself would be interesting, but
I mean, we could go there because we know stuff, but
we know
I
stuff.
think Tami literally knows everybody that
oh, I think
has
so too.
some sort of an affiliation with genealogy. She knows
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And if
Oh,
there's
yeah.
anybody she doesn't know, I probably know them. So between
Yeah.
us, we pretty much have our bases covered there. So,
Yeah.
Right.
but I mean, not to be judgy, but people like to know a little gossip, I think. I do. I
Jenny?
saw Jenny's finger go.
Yeah, I did too.
No, I just had like a follow up about your planning of the program. Did you always want to do just the audio, just the podcast? Did you ever think of doing, how they do a combined like YouTube, and podcast? Was that ever, something to consider, or you said no, we're just going to do the audio?
If you saw what we looked like when you were recording,
Stop
you'd
it.
thank us
No,
for not doing
no,
video.
no.
At least you'd have to clean up at least every once in a while, right? If you were going to be on camera. That's how I feel about Monday nights. So,
We kind of wanted to make sure that it was working before we decided to open it up to video, or
yeah.
we've discussed having a live audience. The
Mhm.
software that we use has a streaming capabilities, and you can invite people to watch you live.
Uh-huh.
But we just wanted to see if it worked first, if we could
Yeah.
actually do this.
Before we have to start really filtering ourselves.
Well, that was one of the things I saw on the Riverside Facebook page. They wanted to know if they were going to release a beep so that you could beep out when people said naughty words or things. You could just beep them. So.
Well, that's too funny. Mary, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah.
Or gossip?
Gossip, yeah.
No, mine's a question.
Mary said.
Just I mean, I blogged for a while and then I just kind of ran. Well, part of it was working on my portfolio that I totally didn't feel like I could write about anything that I was doing. And so I had nothing to write about because that's all I was doing. And so that's why it kind of just petered out and I never picked it up again. I would be concerned that about content. How much out have you guys figured out? How much have you planned? How do you go into something like this and think, all right, I got to get enough that the train is actually moving?
Have you? Okay, so personally, I can take any conversation, no matter where it is or who I'm talking to, and within just a couple minutes, turn it to genealogy.
Oh,
So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
so who of you would ever run out of something to talk about if you were talking about genealogy, whether it's your research or research tools or repositories or sources or anything like that. We don't anticipate any any
That's good. That's good.
dearth of
Yeah.
Tami set up a
topics.
page called Tech Tools, and it must be like, this long already on Notion of
Yeah.
stuff that she wants to talk about tech tools. So
Cool.
we've got like the next 3 episodes kind of mapped out.
Oh, that's nice. Now, I'm not familiar with Notion. What is that?
Um, it's a free tool, a free website, and it's blank.
Okay.
It's a
And
replacement for Evernote, basically. That's
it,
how I
Oh,
started
okay.
using
it
it.
is, but
Oh,
it works
okay.
a lot differently than Evernote does in that you create pages and you can make sub pages and you can add sound and pictures and tables and text and one really nice thing. It's a great way if you ever follow the second brain idea. It's a great way to store all of your tidbits of information as well
Okay.
because you can search. You can just go to the search bar and if you have a word anywhere buried in any of your pages,
Okay.
it'll show you right where it is.
So instead of just grabbing a piece of paper off my desk and writing something down that just came into my brain and then I can't find that piece of paper.
Well, I do
again.
that. These trusty little notebooks that they give us
Oh,
at
yeah.
RaceTech are great
Oh,
for that.
yeah. Yeah. I still have some relative race ones laying around.
too.
Pick ones.
We
Yeah.
needed something that we could share because we didn't
Yes.
want one or the other to be stuck planning all the content. So
Right.
we set up this Notion page, and I think at first we weren't really sure if that's what we were going to do or not, but it seems to be working for now.
Mhm.
Okay,
And
can you use it to share graphics, to share
yeah,
like
the free plan has limited storage, so Tami sent me a bunch of audio files, and that basically killed my whole account. So
Yeah, I think I took them off
yeah, you
and
did.
then sent them another way. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went to Notion after Evernote raised their prices, and I
Okay.
still have an Evernote account, and I still have a lot of stuff in Evernote. I have a hard time wrapping my brain around the way Notion stores and their hierarchy. So
Mhm.
I don't like it as much as Evernote, but I like the price, and
Yeah.
it works for
Yeah.
us.
That's the important thing is it works for you.
It's
Well,
really
that
fun to be looking at the screen, and Tammy will say, "Oh, I have an idea," and she'll start writing, and these words
and
start
then you
appearing
see
on
it.
my screen.
Oh, cool. That's great.
That
That's
is
great.
cool.
Yeah.
It's
Melissa, do you
great for
have?
project sharing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Melissa, I couldn't tell if you were trying to say something or
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions.
okay, go
Um,
for it.
Trying to think how to say this to not be offensive, but
Oh,
well, I'm just saying that
of
there's a
course. Yeah.
tremendous amount of content out there already. And so, what do you think you're bringing new or different because there's tons of podcasts out there that genealogist and I listen to a lot of archivist podcasts because that's what I do as a job as an archivist. But so I'm just interested in what you're going to bring that's going to be different, that's going to attract genealogists to your podcast as opposed to someone else. And then I'll ask my second question, which is not as bad.
Do you not as bad. Do you want to take this one,
Fair.
Elizabeth?
That's a fair question. I think that not every podcast or YouTube show or TV show or movie is for everybody. And you make a connection, especially with podcasts. I think you really either you connect with the host or you don't connect with the host.
I agree.
And you kind of develop a relationship, I mean, if that's the right word for it, with the host. And, I've also listened to a lot of podcasts, and I'll know within 5 minutes if I'm going to keep listening to it because
Yeah.
as the kids say, I just didn't vibe with that host.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I
kind of
agree.
think that
Yeah.
Tami and I bring a sort of an informal, approachable feeling to our podcast. Not like we're up here and you're down here and we're going to lecture you for an hour on how to do your research. No, we're just people. We've been doing this for a long time. Some of us have experience in one of us does one thing, the other one does another thing. And we happen to connect with each other and hopefully connect with the audience.
That's good. My other question is that how did you come up with your graphic and branding? I really like it.
Thank you.
That's all Tami. Tami is so talented at that.
She really
I
is.
like the microphone in the middle of your being the flower.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
She came up with that all on her own after sending me a bunch of them and saying, "No, I don't like that one. Can you change this? No, I want you to change." Anyway, and then I said to her, "You know what? We need some Zoom backgrounds." So she made these today. So
good.
Oh,
Tami is extremely
very
talented,
nice.
and when she's
Yes.
not podcasting, you might be able to hire her to do some graphic design.
yeah.
Oh, I always knew that Tami was
Or not.
talented.
No, I don't have time for that.
So if any of you have looked at the Genia Bloggers premium logo, that was
Yes.
Tami.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
I
And
probably still
conference
owe
speakers.
Tami money for logo design that never came to fruition, but she got it further along.
She won't tell you. She's the
But
nice
what I was
one.
going to say in response to kind of what you were talking about, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and every once in a while, the content will be very interesting, but the voice, it
Mhm,
just doesn't click.
mhm.
And what you also said about the way they present themselves. And I have to say, since I've hung out with both of you, I can really say you guys are fun to hang out with.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing that's like basically obnoxious about either one.
Oh, thank you.
Unless you're hanging around with us, then
That's our
No,
new
I'm
slogan.
serious. Both
We're
of you
not
were-
basically
both of you are
obnoxious.
very smart, and you're fun to hang out with, and you're generally funny too.
yeah, yeah.
So I think you're going to be successful. I mean,
Well, that's a good point, what you said. We kind of wanted it just to be somewhere that you would go and hang out and talk about genealogy, because that's what
Yeah.
we do.
Well,
We do
Yeah.
that with each other. We do that with other people. And
And that-
we aren't trying to lecture you. We aren't trying to make you feel bad about how you're doing things. We want you to feel good about it.
Mhm.
And, just come and hang and have fun.
And I mean, literally, like she had said, that's just how the whole podcast came to be, is that our conversations just go back and forth between us. And that's what, and we literally said, this should be a podcast. But that's, I think too, part of our goal is to make this more of a conversation instead of, we're teaching you something. We're telling you something, you best listen. And I
Yeah.
would like people to feel like they're participating just by listening.
And there's
So,
nothing wrong with that. We're not saying that there isn't room in the space for everybody who's
Right.
doing some kind of content.
Mhm.
I think it's just that not everybody is looking for all the same kind of content. So,
Right.
and sometimes I'm in the mood to be lectured at and told how to do what I should be doing, and other times I just want to hang out. So,
Good point.
Very
Good
cool.
point. Jenny?
So you both have successful businesses. You're busy ladies. Do you have a timetable of how often you're going to drop a podcast, or are you just kind of working it into your schedule and seeing how it goes? What's your plan for that?
we're working on the content calendar, and we're going to try to get things standardized after the holidays. I said to Tammy this morning, if you're going to release a new podcast, do it right before the holidays, because that won't screw everything up. It just evolved that way. And, I didn't want to stop the momentum because it was just happening. And
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have one, maybe two more episodes to come out before the end of the year, and then we will get on a schedule. We're thinking bi-monthly, like twice a month.
Great. Great. Well,
Well,
I
so-
can't say that I listened to your podcast, and I really did enjoy it because of the
thank you.
between the two of you. I think even if I didn't know you, I would still, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you like things because you know the people that are doing it, right? But even if I didn't know you at all, I would have enjoyed the podcast. I really thought you all did a really good job.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome. You're
That
very
that one wasn't quite that scripted. I think we just
Yeah.
sort of put some notes out. I mean, we don't want to be overly
No,
scripted,
yeah.
but we
Yeah.
also don't want a ton of dead air where we forgot what we were saying.
Right.
We've reached those ages where, sometimes the word or the phrase is just gone.
Girl, I know. I hear you. I hear you. So yeah, I really, really did enjoy it. So I'm glad that you're going to continue and twice a month sounds great. And they're not really, really long because people's attention spans are not that long. We really try with GenFriends not to go more than maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes unless we are interviewing somebody that you just can't stop. You know, when we do the relative race team, sometimes they want to share so much. I mean, I think our last one was an hour and 10 minutes, and that's just, we didn't even realize we'd been on for an hour and 10 minutes. But it was because of their stories they wanted to share with us. And so, but normally we don't go that long. And it's because people's attention spans are not that long, you know?
No,
So,
we can thank social media for that.
right. And so did you purposely choose like 30 minutes? Is that what you are going to do, or you're just going to talk until you're done with that talk?
Honestly, I edit out 15 minutes of ums and uhs. And
Okay, and it turned out to be 30
it was
minutes.
about
So
46 minutes, the first one.
okay.
Start.
So it'll be different. It'll be different every time then?
I would probably between 30 to 40 minutes, whatever
That's a
feels
big spot.
comfortable to cover what it is we're presenting, rather than trying to either stretch something out or jam it all in. So
exactly. Yeah.
I guess
that
I'm
is
old
a
school
nice-
or old fashioned because I find myself when I'm listening to podcasts wanting more. I don't have that short attention span, especially when it's really good or if I'm learning or, you know, I want it to keep going. And so,
Well, I have one that I listen to that their episodes must be an hour and a half long. And I won't sit down and listen to the whole thing for an hour and a half, but I'll just up like, okay, I'm driving here, I'll listen to 30 minutes and then I'm driving back. And like you said, it's like these are your friends and you're just going to pop in on their conversation and join them when you can.
Exactly.
That's a good example.
Yeah, I kind of like the long form when it's a story, but when it's chat, I think it is that the 20, 30, 40 minutes is when you just see it's less than an hour, like, okay, I won't get carried away and lose my momentum and never get back to work.
Yeah. What was the murder podcast we were talking about doing a couple days ago?
A murder podcast. Ooh, that sounds interesting.
I don't remember what it came up with. Anyway.
I listen to true crime podcasts, so
I do too.
we should talk. We probably listen to
Only
the
murders
same
in
one.
genealogy.
Only murders in genealogy. Yes. Anybody else have any questions or comments or thoughts about this brand new genealogy podcast?
so you may have mentioned it already, but are you going to have guests on and interview them, or is it just going to be, what you've had? Like, I listened to your podcast today, and so I just wonder if you're planning on having guests. You mentioned that you're going to be at Roots Tech, and so I'm assuming you probably will interview some people there for your future podcast. Or are you going to podcast live at Roots Tech?
we're going to try and figure that one out.
Yes.
So,
Like I said, I wanted to find out if we could actually do this before we made any commitment.
Good idea.
But yes, that is in the works.
but
Good.
but because we know so many people, and we aren't the experts in everything, we do hope to be able to call on our friends to when we're on a topic that's their field, to have them come in and talk to.
Are you offering, Melissa?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody that knows me knows that I am ready to talk about archives and archived records, being an archivist and a genealogist. So call me anytime.
All
So
right.
see, there you go. Would you ever run out of things to talk about? No.
No.
Well, Tammy's our booking agent and she handles all the employees.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's going to be a big success. You know so many people and it's such a natural conversation. I loved it. I think you're going to do great.
And you two are natural together. And that's what's so good about it too, is that you don't feel like the conversation is forced between the two of you.
Right.
So,
No, we have to force ourselves to shut up.
Yeah.
I know. Wait, we got to record this. It was really funny. My dad turned 100. I think everybody knows that by now. And my sister and my daughter took the podcast over for my dad to listen to. And so he called me up and he was all excited and he said, "Well, how is this going to affect your taxes?"
All the money that's rolling in.
That's so cute.
Well,
Oh.
Dad.
Don't get rich podcast.
Yeah, this
It's
is
genealogy. We never get paid for that, right?
But I kind of believe that when you're doing what you're meant to do, doors will open.
Oh, sure.
So we rolled out the first podcast and I was really surprised by the response. So and thank you for inviting us onto your show. I was really surprised by that too. Like we've only got one episode. Should we really be doing our next one might suck and she'll regret it.
No. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew about it. You know, that's one of the reasons we do this show. It's GenFriends. We want everybody to be able to be showcased and for everybody to know what's going on in the community. And you know, we have guests on. We like to follow the TV shows, and so your podcast just fit right in with the things that we like to talk about. So I was very excited to have that content. Speaking of content, because sometimes we're like, what are we going to do?
Right.
I know what we're going to do. Elizabeth and Tami have a new podcast.
Oh, yeah, we have a new podcast. Come up.
What?
Have you listened to it yet? No, get them anyway.
No. I knew it'd be
Well,
good.
I mean, knowing you, it wasn't going to be that big of a risk that it was.
Right. Exactly.
We both are trying to be careful what we say, and you know,
Yeah.
when the mic is off, anything goes. So
Yeah, that's the way we are around here, right, ladies?
Yes.
So I have what's probably a village idiot question, but on your logo, underneath the branching out, there's tiny writing that I would like have to put my eyes to the screen to see. What does it say?
see, I told you it was too small.
I know, but it says a genealogy podcast.
Yeah, see, that's why I only said.
Oh, I see that
Yeah,
now
but
that
I
I
knew
know
it
what
was
it says.
yeah.
See, it's just that kind of, in case you haven't figured this out,
Yeah.
it's a genealogy podcast.
Not to be confused with all those other podcasts called Branching Out, because they're not
Yeah.
about genealogy. I saw one that was actually about banking. I thought that was really clever.
That is clever.
Oh,
That is
Bank
really
branch.
clever. Yeah.
How did you come up with the name? Did you have other names that you were considering?
We got some help from AI.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great place to go to AI for is titles,
Yeah.
presentation
Talk titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Podcast
saw one the
titles.
other day called Opinionated Lushes, and I sent the picture to Tami and I said, darn it, that should have been our name.
Oh my goodness.
But no, yeah,
There
we
you go.
asked AI to help us figure it out. And
That's great.
Yeah, I like it. I like
we
the
actually
colors
use
that
a lot
you're
of
using.
AI in our podcast, but
Uh-huh.
Well, and I used AI for the background of our
Yeah.
screen. Elizabeth suggested that we might want something with our logo on it, and so I asked AI to create a nice background in our colors, and
Yeah.
worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it looks really nice. It looks really, really nice. I like your
what do you
color.
mean, like on a white background? I'm like, no, not on a white background. Can't you figure something more creative out? And she came up with this.
Exactly. It looks good. It really looks good. Is there anything that we haven't asked you that you wish we had asked you? Anything else you want to tell us about the podcast?
Tami? Tami,
Cheri will
want to
edit out that
secret?
pause.
Yeah.
Is that a no? Did we cover it all? Do you think?
Pretty thorough, yeah.
Yeah, I just never want anybody to get off and go, oh, we didn't talk about this or this or this. So I wanted to give you that space.
We have a real big variety of topics planned coming up. Everything from part of Elizabeth's journey to become a CG to our genealogy and Second Life to virtual genealogy. We've got all sorts of stuff to
And
cover.
a project I've been nagging Tami to do for what, like 10 years now?
Which one?
Is there more than one?
True, I should probably be more specific.
Probably.
to join a certain organization.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. You know,
Yes,
with
we're
the
going to
big
chronicle
with the
that process.
with the big fancy
Yeah.
hats and the gold pins
And the
Yeah.
tea
and the
time.
tea.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be
I-
fun
I
to
am a member.
know.
I am a member. You can do it
I
too.
know you
I-
are.
Mhm.
Yes, I've been pestering her for many, many, many years.
And they
And
pestered me
someday
for many, many
to go
years
to
until I
Continental
did it.
Congress with a big hat and
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Tammy's
Well,
like, I'm gonna kill
Yeah.
you later.
Well, the issue with that, the reason it's taken her so long to convince me is that don't laugh. My sister's a member, right?
Mhm.
So like all I got to do is like sign my name and
Yeah.
that's it.
Exactly. You're
But
in.
that's the easy way out. I have another Revolutionary War ancestor
Uh-huh.
that I've been working on. I want to go through
Mm.
him
No.
instead, but
Right.
No,
No. I've got
no.
I've got
Take the easy
several, and
road.
I need to get it done too. So
Me
Okay,
too.
then we'll
And
have
Elizabeth
Cheri
even
on where we're gonna start on you after we finish. And we're gonna enlist Melissa to help you.
There you go.
No, you
Elizabeth
can
helped me a few years ago, and I still haven't done it because I figured out like what I need to do, and there's one will that I have that's in Virginia that I have to find. But I keep getting hung up on the family members that aren't biological family members and the whole.
Oh, I know. It's tough.
So
It's tough.
then I
Yeah.
just get like, well, I don't know. I'll think about it later, Scarlett. I'll think about it tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And
Tomorrow is
then
another
10
day.
years goes by and
Another 10 years
Elizabeth
goes by.
Tammy,
Elizabeth
you
is
know
still
me.
bugging you about it. Yeah. So.
I didn't give up until you showed a tiny bit of interest, and I just get in there after it.
She did. She did. I'm just about ready. So we're gonna cover that. That'll be a
That's
fun
great.
episode.
That's
That'd be good.
wonderful. That's a really
But the
good.
reason why you can't use you have to go in the easy way. Melissa, back me up here. You go in the easy way, and then after you become a member, then you submit what's called a supplemental.
Supplementals.
And then you
Mhm.
can do that big, long, hard one. And you can help all the cousins out there that are waiting to join on that ancestor, but who aren't as skilled as you are as a researcher.
There you go.
Yeah,
See,
you like
and
what I
if
did
there's
there?
anybody out there watching this that does not know what we're talking about,
I was gonna go there too, but yeah.
go ahead. What are we talking about, Tammy?
The DAR. We're talking about the DAR.
DAR,
Daughters of the American Revolution. Yeah.
And then
My
you can
first one
join
was a hard one. My first one was a hard one because I was the only one that connected to this particular. He was my eighth great grandfather on my father's side. And interestingly, and this is a tip, they don't have to have been a soldier.
That's true.
Right.
My ancestor was too old to fight, but there's actual documentation, original documentation, that he provided wheat to George Washington's army, and it says it right in
Very
the
cool.
documents.
Very
Cool.
So yeah, and he
Very
was a
cool.
patriot. So
Yeah, but and I have no excuse because I had so many that fought with the swamp fox. Francis Marion.
Oh, cool.
They're on the list. And fought with them, and I'm still
Yep.
sitting, not
Yep.
getting it done. So anyway, anybody else have a question, or we don't want to keep you all night because we can talk.
It's only not even 6 o'clock here, right, Mary?
Yeah.
Quarter
of us
to
West
9
Coast
here. Yeah, quarter to 9 here. So
well, I'm excited for the next episode to come out.
me
So
too. We're
Excellent.
excited to follow you and see what you're
Yeah.
doing. And
Thank you very much.
we'll
Our
put
next
all the
episode
links.
is going to be about collecting those family stories while your family's visiting during the holidays.
There
Oh,
you
good
go.
one.
Yeah,
Good
very
one.
Nice.
Good one.
There
Good
you
job.
go.
Stay tuned.
Absolutely.
yeah, I do a whole
Important
presentation
topic.
called Family Gatherings, Dragging Genealogy Information Out of Your Family, and what you can use to do that. So
Yeah.
no, the stories are the thing. Laura does a lot with writing and
Yes,
family
she
history and
does.
stories and stuff.
Mhm.
And it's funny. I've been doing genealogy research for 34 years, and I would probably say, honestly, the first 25 of those years, it's been information gathering,
Mhm.
Right.
all that. But the last 10
Exactly.
years have been stories. I want to know
Mhm.
anything and everything about my ancestors and tell their full story. One of the things I find the genealogists they don't do to the fullest is they don't tell the whole story of their ancestors.
Right. Right.
I think they deserve that. That's just
Yeah.
kind of where I come at it. They
And
deserve that.
when you make that realization, that's when you cross over from being a beginner into an intermediate. And that's when you really start honing your skills and becoming a better researcher.
Mhm.
Oh, I
I
agree
think.
with you.
So.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree with you.
I think also on a personal level, though, at that point too, you stop becoming, I want to say, a name collector, and
Right.
and it kind of hits you that these people are people. They were just like
People.
you. They had
Yeah.
a life. They had the women had kids, and they had
Yeah.
hard work to do, and you
Right.
start feeling it a whole lot more
Yeah.
than
Oh,
just
yeah.
names on the paper. It's
Right.
incredible.
And I think too is they become examples of things that when things happen in your life, if you know their stories and how they got through it, it could really be a strength as you're going through, especially trials and things like that. And you go, oh, you know, they went through this too, and somehow they survived. So, you know,
Obviously.
And they
perhaps,
didn't
yeah.
have and they didn't have YouTube. I always think that about my husband's ancestors who were settling in Nebraska and building their homes, and they didn't have YouTube to like, how do you build a Swanay house?
No, they just knew.
Yeah, oh, that's too funny, Laura. I love that.
And you know, when I became an archivist 13 years ago, and when you start working in archives every single day and you see the tremendous mountainous amount of records that are not online, but have your
Yeah.
ancestors' story and information in them, it is. That's why in 2015 I started speaking and teaching. I'm like, people, come to the archives, because
Yeah.
there's so much more here than what you can ever find
So
online.
much. Exactly. There's so much fun. And then you come out with your hands all black because you've been touching all those
Yes,
records,
yeah,
and you're touching records that maybe your ancestors touched. So yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
And you're
Even if they end up
naming kids
online,
are
I still want to
allergic
go
to the
find them in the
dust.
archive. Sorry, go ahead.
So I
Go ahead,
have a
Shelley.
question for Melissa.
Yeah.
Actually, how bad would it be to buy a book with mold in it just because it's cheap?
Just got it's
Well,
cheap.
you can actually do some mold remediation. I mean, unless you're allergic, I always tell people, unless you're allergic to it, don't touch it. But if you're not
Okay,
allergic to
well,
it,
I am,
then,
so maybe
there's ways you can
pass.
handle mold. Mold is a living thing. First thing you do, and one of the things I tell you not to do, is put it in direct sunlight. It kills the mold spores. Once you've done that, then you can clean off the mold, and then as long as you store it properly, you should be good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Nice.
no, don't ever worry. And like I said, unless you're allergic to it or if you have health issues, no, I'm around mold not all the time, but
Yeah. I thought I was going to get
we have a vault. We have a
The
records
moldy
vault.
profession. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought
we
I
have
was
a
going to
records.
get lucky with an eBay purchase today, but then I
Oh,
read the description and it said it was covered in mold, and I was like, oh, great.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
No wonder it's cheap.
I
yeah.
wonder. Exactly. Exactly. Laura, did you want to say something else? It looked like you did there for a minute.
If I did, I forgot.
Anyone else, Jenny?
No, I'm
You-
good. I'm just, good luck. I know
Yeah.
it's going to be a big success. So
Yeah, same here.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mary, any parting words?
Really happy for you guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, we
Yeah, we'll have
really
to have
are.
Mary on to talk about the NGSQ.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
her newest
And her
post
newest letter.
Credential.
nominals that
That's
she
right.
has.
Yeah.
that's right.
I'm going to have mine
Absolutely.
etched on my tombstone because I worked really hard for that.
It's a
You don't
lot
mean
of work.
anything. I'm not any different than I was before I had him, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. So,
Granddaughter.
Mary?
My
Yeah,
husband
go
made
ahead.
a sign when I got my CGG, and it's in my office, and my granddaughter was in the office, and what does that mean? So I was explaining it to her, and then the next week she was here for Thanksgiving dinner, and my sister asked, "So what is it that you got?" And I said, "A certified genealogist," and my 7-year-old granddaughter pipes up, "A CGG."
Oh, that's so cute. That is really
Certifiably great grandma.
there you
right.
go.
Hey,
Or
That's
just
cool.
certifiable.
Yes.
You could just leave
Or
it
just
there.
certifiable.
yes.
Yeah, I think Tammy tried to work that into one of our episodes.
Well, Elizabeth had described herself as a certified genealogist, and she asked me, "How would you describe yourself?" And I said, "Just certifiable." That's it.
A couple of other choice descriptions she had.
There were.
That we can't say here. While we're
No, we didn't
Right?
use them in the show either.
Exactly.
She's no
Well,
fun
thank you.
sometimes.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on, and we are so happy for you. It's always nice to have friends on and be able to celebrate their successes. So
Thank you.
we really are rooting for you, and everybody go listen. I'm gonna put the link in, and so yeah, and then leave some comments, and I'll get them back to these beautiful ladies about what you think about their podcast. Okay, so
So we're available
enjoy.
where you get your podcasts.
Exactly. There you go. Available wherever you get your podcast. Fabulous. Thank you so much. And like we said, good luck. And we are very, very happy for you. So, and with that, we will say goodbye for now, and we will see you next time on GenFriends. Bye, everybody.
Bye.